My name is Ben Snyder. I'm Wingtra's Training and Certification Manager, and I'm joined by my buddy Tom with Seiler. We really appreciate everybody taking the time out of their day to learning a little bit more about Wingtra's end-to-end aerial data insight solution. And Tom, anything you want to say before we get started, or?
I appreciate the opportunity. It's great to get out here and ride with you one more time, man. As former colleagues, Ben and I worked together at Wingtra. Had a great relationship. It's great to be working with you in this capacity. Just a bit about, I guess, Seiler Design Solutions and Seiler Geo Drones, what we do. I know there's some folks from kind of all over our sales organization that are on the call, so we thank you for being available and making some time for us today. So we were hoping to show you a high-level overview of the Wingtra end-to-end platform, Wingtra Cloud, being able to plan a mission, to process data, to create sites and manage the fleet of the Wingtra systems that you have currently with the existing equipment that you have currently. Folks that are using Trimbles, Topcons, any other GNSS heads, bases, and rover combinations, we want to be able to speak to those folks. So thanks very much for coming, and we'll get started.
Yeah, so just a little bit more about Wingtra and what we're doing here these days. I'm sure you all kind of know us for the large orange green drone, or excuse me, large orange drone that we have, the VTOL large area mapping platform. But ultimately, Wingtra is becoming so much more than just the OEM hardware drone manufacturing company. We're now able to get you the survey data within hours with our next generation survey tool and the seamless field to office workflow that we're going to be discussing today. One of the great examples of this is, let's talk about how things are currently done. There's lots of steps in between from, starting with flight planning to actually going out and getting your deliverables. So this is with a client of ours who's using our workflow, and they're finding that they're able to get their earthworks reports 3 times faster and instant response, and they're showing like a 20% more efficiency to where they're able to get these volumetrics and calculations and insights in hours rather than days. So there's a lot that happens in between, where we have our gentleman on our left, who's our pilot, our data acquisition manager, Vice, as it works its way through the entire workflow. We have our project manager, who's ultimately responsible for those deliverables. So let's just kind of talk a little bit more about that and how that all looks. So if this is so easy, why isn't everybody doing it? I think, right? Like, and the truth is in the past it really hasn't been particularly easy because there are so many different moving pieces. So and really the reality of it is the flying the drone at this point, I mean, that's truly the easiest piece of the puzzle. That takes the least amount of time. What takes more time is all of the flight planning, the coordination, the getting out to the site, the setting up of your ground control. Then the flying comes back in, and then it's collecting everything, getting back to the office, and processing it. So at Wingtra, what we're really doing is we're looking to streamline that entire workflow and process. And we do so with a few tools here, and everything really starts and finishes then with our Wingtra Cloud platform. And with our Wingtra Cloud, it's the advanced mission planning that seamlessly syncs across all of the devices. So it allows you to plan, and then the capture portion, of course, again, is with our Wingtra 1 Gen 2, and that's also tightly integrated into other field equipment, and then bringing everything back into the Wingtra Cloud, which allows you to process and share and collaborate on this data. So really what we're looking to do as far as what are the unique selling propositions or what's the main idea behind Wingtra Cloud here is we're really talking about efficiency. So we're looking at survey grade maps across different sites that you're able to get and process within hours, not weeks. It becomes more cost effective with drone surveying, and it lets you take on more projects more often. And really, if you look at our person here, what it allows you to do too is, with everything being integrated, data and knowledge is no longer siloed. So in the past, perhaps you had one subject matter expert who, they were the drone pilot, they were the person who understand how the ground control works and ties in with the data processing. They were the ones who went out and processed the data as well and then delivered it. But with this process now, it allows to cut down time on those other consuming tasks for the surveyors or those other project managers, which also includes the traveling and everything that we had mentioned before, and allows to delegate some of those other aspects of the project, and allowing you to take on more projects and freeing up more time for other important tasks as well. The next thing we really talk about, and this is truly true with not just Wingtra, but with taking over and using drone surveying methodologies, vice terrestrial methodologies, and it's what we call shining with your results. You're now allowed to share your work on accurate and photorealistic survey data that keeps teams and everybody aligned. So whereas if you were to look over on to the right, and the insights now have context, right? Rather than just having polylines, which means they're very important and it's very good data, but it doesn't necessarily, it's not fully understood by everybody. It doesn't have as much context. Whereas now you're able to show these photorealistic images and data and map, and it allows you to gain valuable insights to make more informed decisions quicker. And then finally, from our internal systems with Wingtra and how everything integrates together, from the drone data workflow and the flight planning and the data processing and the sharing and the collaboration and coordination that you're able to get with everything coming together, it just works. It's a seamless flow from field to office with minimizing and no complex setups. It's just reliable equipment that leads ultimately to accurate results. And of course, with Wingtra also, we are built to American standards and we're trusted globally. So you can ensure that we're able to provide you compliant and reliable and safe drone operations. So one thing I'd like to mention with that as well is our equipment is NDAA compliant out the box, which is particularly important for anybody who's surveying and mapping in and around critical infrastructure. So, and that's kind of the end-to-end solution here in a nutshell. With the efficiency, shining with your results, it just works, and then being built to American standards and trusted globally. And then getting back to the sharing of the results, these are actually a few QR codes to where you can go in and take a look at some live maps that we have created. And actually, Tom will be walking through step by step also the process in Wingtra Cloud, from what it looks like to setting up a site, to setting up a flight, and then ultimately how the processing of that data would look also in the cloud, and the different collaboration tools that you will also have. And before I hand things over to Tom, I just want to just briefly mention that we are a company, we've been around for over 10 years. We've got over 125 employees globally. We do over 100,000 surveys per year. We have over 1,500 customers globally, as well as more than 100 local resellers, distributors, dealers worldwide. So the other thing that you can be rest assured is, Wingtra, we're in it for the long haul. We're not going away. Tomorrow we'll be here. Tomorrow, the next day, and the next day. So, and our support is very reliable, and we have a great network of partners, just as with Seiler and Tom. So with that, Tom, I will hand it over to you.
Stellar, love it. Thanks very much, Ben. So this is what you're going to see when you log into the top screen of the cloud platform. So as you can see, as I scroll down through here, this is accessible by everybody in your organization that you give permission to that has a license for this. So you'll notice there are maps from all over the Seiler ecosystem, as there are many of you from our Ohio office. There are folks from our Kansas office on this. There are folks from headquarters back in St. Louis. And a plug for Seiler, we have been around we're celebrating our 80th year this year, actually, not too far away, or in a couple weeks. So just wanted to, say that we truly understand the entire process, not just the drone capture, which we're here to talk about today, the reality capture, but also as an Autodesk partner on the engineering side of things, to be able to import this drone data into Civil 3D, even so far as beyond that into the Revit or the Bluebeam, for deliverables for project managers on site. Our Seiler design solutions team, of which I am a part of, we get into SLAM scanning even. There is a myriad of technology that we are getting into. So there is kind of talking about end-to-end solutions, not just from the UAS perspective, but end-to-end solutions from a Seiler perspective is, the ground to the office to the, the PDF, as it were, the digital PDF. Hopefully you're not still using print PDFs, but if you are, we've got something for that too. So in any case, one of the problems we're running into out here is managing these different assets and planning across a large area of, you've got maybe guys in different offices across the state, you've got different stakeholders in different offices. So large projects are very easy with Wingtra. So this is a project I'm actively working on right now. So as you open up the project, you can see you have the ability to import flights, create a flight, processing data, just orienting us around the interface here. The pilot of record, the drone, the sensor, your actions, and Wingtra ground. You'll see this blank here. This is for the Wingtra GNSS solution that is out there. But of course, most of the folks on this call I would expect to be using, a 980 or a Trimble R10 or an R12i, something of that nature. So just understanding what you're going to be looking at when you jump into this, right? So as we go into the actual project file, it'll give you some metadata here about your total flight time, again, insights into what sensor you're using, the site details. And once you actually get into the map and actually start to run the software, some really powerful tools come to take shape. So as you can see, this is about it's about 4.5 square miles, from the tip of this project to the southern end here. And this was something we had to get. We had to get a NOTAM issued from this airport up here. If I show my layers, I can actually turn this off, my flights, and be able to. We had to get a NOTAM for this airport. We had to coordinate with the village. We had to coordinate with the provost of Colgate University. So this was quite a complicated aerial operation with visual observers. We had beyond visual line of sight with visual observers. So this was a pretty epic flight. About 6 different flights that were logged into this single day, and we knocked it out in a single day. Which was terrific, So I'm in the process of creating this ortho and actually have run through it. But just to give you some insights as to the tools, the analysis tools. So right now I'm looking at my flight lines, which are typical. So those of you that are used to seeing Wingtra Hub, this will be very familiar to you. This is more of what you're looking at in Wingtra Hub when you're planning from the desktop or the pilot app on the ground controller. So what you're able to do now with Wingtra Cloud is to go 3 dimensions and actually see what you're doing out in the field. So maybe this is a site where you've never had a recon done and you've been out, and to be able to show where your home spot is going to be, where your launch pad is, and understand what you may or may not be able to see with the intelligence built in and the 3D buildings. This is just awesome, especially if it's a location that you're getting out to for the first time. So thinking about being able to create images to increase your bid time estimations, just being able to have this level of intuitiveness before you even get out into the field with your equipment is tremendous. Some other intelligence built into this. If I wanted to see based on what visual line of sight I'm looking at, I can colorize this to see if there's any shadow in the mission. Oh, always with the little bit of a lag. Here's the VPN because we're on, so we're running this. There it is. So when we run in the go-to, it's a little bit laggy. Apologize about that. When you're not presenting on a webinar, it jumps right into that. So fear not, good friends. So from here, you can actually see where you're gonna lose line of sight on this. And I can confirm that we had a secondary site over there, and we had to move this location in the second flight for the northern leg. So we had command and control very tight up here on the airport. This was an active runway. We actually had a G3 land for the graduation weekend, as it were. So there's active airplanes landing at this small field here. So this is just great levels of insight to be able to see before you actually get out there. Also, the ground sampling, your anticipated GSD. This is something I would love to find out before I fly, not after flying. So if you want to tweak your flight lines or you want to make adjustments where you see some red or yellow spots, it's amazing to be able to see this level of detail and to make better plans. Also, in this same vein, if you're the planner of the mission and not necessarily going to be someone that's going to be executing the flight, you have the ability to log in comments on this. And I was planning this originally, and the engineering firm that I was working with was able to, have us bump out this map slightly because they're going to put some new gas lines and some new water lines in to link up with this water tank here. So I see that just like a kind of a Reddit thread. So it's really nice to be able to have that level of collaboration. And that's just from setting this. I can just share this. I can share this entire mission with someone after the fact. I can just click this share button. They can view, they can comment. The level of permissions is set by the person that runs and sets up the plan. I can allow for file exports. So I can restrict that. So this is just great. It's been a really valuable tool as someone that's out doing demonstrations regularly. I will typically have a pre-demo call with folks and run through what we're going to do in real time. And this is a tool that I use for that. But it would be no different if you were doing this in your firm with your internal stakeholders. So this is just a really nice tool, just even right here. So that's setting up your sites and your flights. So initially, once you actually get into the flights, once you've done your planning and you've shared out, you can go in and begin to process the mission. So once you've flown, now you're going to go through the geotagging process. So this involves bringing in your base data. This involves bringing in all of the metadata that's in the data file from the rover that's on the Wingtra. And I have a short little video for you to look at this. So again, as you see here, we're going to extract our Rhinex, our converted Rhinex file. So for those of you using Trimble gear, as I expect and hope most of you are, we have TO2 files or TO4 files. If you're using the older gear, it's a TO2. I may still have an R8S rattling around my truck from time to time, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you are running a 12i or a 980, your TO4 file would be what you're converting. And if you're using the TBC convert Rhinex utility, that's how you get that. So, and I expect most of you probably already know that. So importing your GCPs and your checkpoint CSV files right here, that's going to live inside of your mission folder. You just drag all of that right into the interface and just drop it right in. And then it's going to give you an overview of how long the processing is going to be. And that's it. So it really is that easy to do. And once you're done with that and you've processed it, for instance, the example, the massive project that I just showed you, that was about 34 hours to process. So again, have some other plans. Keep your computer running. That's certainly a very large mission to plan out. But again, it's still possible to do it. Now, for the purpose of the webinar here, another mission that I had planned and flew a while back, and actually show you. This is a rather remote location that has some pretty gnarly and impressive topography. So we went out and did a LiDAR scan of this, as well as the RGB 61. So to go in and look at the ortho, again, just nadir to it at this point, you can still go in and look at it in 3D, but the ortho is a little bit, again, I would expect most of you to know this, an ortho in 3D, it's pretty weird looking. But if you go into the point cloud, this is actually pretty impressive. Looking at this again, this is a photogrammetry point cloud, right? This was created with the RGB 61. At the time, I did not have the MAP 61, but this would be a great opportunity to fly the MAP 61 because of the fact that it's catching those vertical faces. So you're getting some more relief. You have that great resolution of that Sony 61 megapixel, but then you have the added oblique angle that's off of nadir to be able to give you those side relief on that. So I would expect all these little crags in the rock to be just popping in that. And I mean, this is again, not a terrible point cloud for a photogrammetry solution. You know, I mean, like, I have the LiDAR. Unfortunately, we can't process the LiDAR in this yet, but that is coming very, very soon. So keep a lookout on that. Once we're able to process LiDAR with the Wingtra LiDAR, you would expect to just, if those of you that are using the LiDAR right now, maybe you're familiar with the Wingtra LiDAR app, just being able to have everything live inside of Wingtra Cloud is just the really exciting thing we're looking forward to. I remember, and Ben can probably appreciate this, when we had to stop doing the SD card update, when Wingtra was able to broadcast over the air and the updates to the wing. I remember the first time I ever did that. It was amazing. So they're always making improvements to their processes. And one thing I love and respect about Wingtra is they don't release something before it's ready to go, typically. So that's, something to look forward to. So once you actually have this, you can export any number of these. You can chop sections of it out. If you want, you can take an area of interest out and you can export orthomosaic geotiffs. You can export point clouds. Let's say we wanted to take this. You can downsample the point density if you'd like to, if it's, depending on your resolution requirements. And then you create that, and then you'll get notified that it's creating a download. Your export started, and you'll get an email once it's ready to go. So you can go off and get back to work doing something else, and you'll get pinged on Outlook once you're done. So we just really, really love this functionality. It's been a super useful tool for us to be able to use, not only in like a pre-sales capacity for what we do and sharing this platform and talking about getting out doing demonstrations, but certainly for those that are managing UAS fleets, this is a very valuable tool, as I've gotten great feedback from folks that I've been able to talk about this with over the past 6 months. And for those of you that are thinking about or have a Wingtra currently, if there are those of you on the call that do have a Wingtra, being able to manage the fleet, dropping in drones here, like for instance, one of our drones, this is where you're able to track your licenses and kind of stay on top of what licenses that you have. You can collaborate with each other, as far as your fleet manager and the operators and project managers that are touching the equipment on a day-to-day basis. As you get into the waning quarter of your accidental damage protection or Wingtra Care is coming up, this will be where you're able to manage all of those licenses in one great place. And as one retires, you can decommission them. Your Wingtra ID numbers, if you ever need anything like that for support, if you're pulling logs off of a bird for any reason, all of this is going to be managed out of your fleet tab here. So again, as you grow and your fleet grows, the capability will stay with you. So just a really great tool to use, and we're super excited and proud to be able to represent it.
All right, thanks, Tom. Yeah, I guess we're now kind of at the stage where we can hit the Q&A session if anybody has any questions, or if there's anything Tom or I could answer for y'all. We're certainly happy to discuss anything in more detail. Tom, we do have a question coming in for you. With regards to the recent project that you did for the village that was over by Colgate College, for processing, you mentioned it was 34 hours. What was the total acreage on that site?
I had it at just about 1,704 acres. It was over 4,000 photographs. I kept my side lap on it was like 85. I wanted to make sure that, you know, I had a really good coverage. So this is the entire project. And I did process this. I know, Ben, you won't begrudge me doing a little Pix4D hype up here, man. You know, I learned it at Wingtra. So this was done in Pixmatic. So those of you that are doing this, I just love doing sports stadiums. It's so rare that we get to because of the, you know, the restrictions over there, but the fact that we had the village involved, you know, just really shows the crispness of the imagery and the processing. This was probably 15 different photographs to constitute the entire football field and complex there. And just, I mean, I was at 400 feet. I mean, we had 20-mile-an-hour winds that day. It was right at max stage, but we had so much committed to the event. We had the NOTAM out. So it was kind of like, we're doing this, man. This is happening. You know, we're making sure that we were maintaining safety, and the Wingtra gave me a high wind caution a few times, but it was not beyond that sustained level of 30 seconds where you know, you get into that danger zone. Although if it did, for those of you that don't know this about the Wingtra, as it experiences wind velocities over 30 seconds of its max sustained wind speed, it will return to home automatically. So, but just a beautiful ortho. It was totally overcast. We had some really great sight lines on here. Our ground control. I mean, it was a great project. It was a great day. It was a great success. And I know I've gotten some feedback on this after the fact. The village was super pleased with this, and even the college. I mean, they were a little bit jealous. Some of the geography department folks at Colgate were definitely wishing they were involved in this, I think. So here's Colgate University right here. If those of you happen to know any of you New Yorkers on the line, holler at my upstate folks. For sleepy little Hamilton, the G3 that we had land while I was flying the Wingtra. So just some, you know, I guess stories from the road, if you will. I was flying the northern leg of this, so my fifth out of sixth flight, and I was oriented about this where the mouse is going, north and south. And this G3 was coming on final approach one there, so that was again a tense situation. But I just hit the pause button on the Wingtra on the tablet, and it went into a controlled loiter and just held its position. And I just hung out there until, you know, the airplane landed, and then just hit my slider and flew right back. Any other questions about this project? Anybody looking to do, you know, 1,500 acre plus sites? Please feel free to hit us up. Definitely get in touch with me. You'll have my contact information, and I will be reaching out to folks if that's okay. But we would love to get out in the field with you and, you know, show you how to do this. And then even after that, be able to create topos and TIN files from this. If you're not already able to do that, we can talk about TBC as well. Being able to process this in UAS master or TBC to classify, you know, the point cloud. If we're doing LiDAR, we can do all of that.
Good stuff. And Tom, you said that was what you did this whole project in one day over 6 flights?
That's right. About 9 o'clock till about 4 o'clock.
Tom, what would be the best way for somebody to get a hold of you?
So they would send an email to the follow up with the email that you got here on the GoToWebinar. And we're going to be sending out some follow-ups here in the very short term. Our organizers will be sending out our contact information and follow-ups for surveys. So if it's all right with you all attendees, we'll definitely reach out and make contact. That we've got individually your local contact rep. I wanted to make sure that we could get you in touch with the person that's closest to you as opposed to me. Not that I don't want to talk to everybody and love to help out and answer questions, but for those of you that are not geolocated up here in upstate New York or the New England area, we want to get you in touch with my partners in the greater Midwest.
All right. Well, looks like that was all that we had for everybody today. I just want to thank everybody again for hopping on and spending a little bit of time with us here this afternoon. And if there's anything else that we can help answer for you, either Tom and I will happily respond to any emails or questions that you have. Good deal. Well, then I guess we could wrap up here and close maybe just a little bit early. And we look forward to speaking with everybody again sometime soon.